welcome back to my channel. So today I decided to prepare a video which describes the process of filing a K1 or fiance visa from the United States. A little disclaimer, guys, this is only going to discuss the process from when you file it up to the time that it is approved and what you do afterwards. So a different vlog about the US Embassy interview will be made after this. So first and foremost, what is a K1 visa or fiance visa? It means that it is a type of visa that allows you to go to the United States in order to marry your fiance. Meaning to say, this person must have to be a person who is more than just your boyfriend or your girlfriend, but someone that you are set to marry. Now, when we talk about marriage, you and your fiance have to marry each other within 90 days from arrival in the United States. So that is one important thing that you have to take note of. When you and your fiance do not marry each other within 90 days from arrival, which makes your stay in the United States illegal, there is a great possibility that you will be deported. Second is that you must have to establish that you already had an in-person meeting in the last 2 years. Later on, we will discuss how you will be able to establish that. So another question is, how long is the process of filing and approval of the K1 visa? It is, in our case, during the time that we filed it, it normally took 5 to 7 months. But if you look it up in the internet, in other blogs, in fora, they will tell you that it would take 6 to 18 months. It would really depend upon the location of your fiance in the US, because there is a bulk of applications in certain parts of the US, which makes the processing time longer. And they would say that there are also backlogs. That's why there are delays. So you would have to expect those delays just to manage your expectations. What is the first step? When you visit the USCIS website or the US Citizenship and Immigration Services, you will have to look for the I-129F form. Together with the form, there are instructions that you can download. Who has to file that? It has to be your fiance who is in the United States that has to file that application. Now, this fiance must have to be either a permanent resident or a US citizen. In my opinion, it would be easier if he is a US citizen. Now, this form that has to be filled up also entails that your fiance must submit specific civil and legal documents. So he has to prepare his birth certificate to establish his identity, or his certificate of naturalization as a US citizen, a copy of his driver's license, let's say for establishing his residence. He has to also establish his income in the form of income taxes and W-2s, so that he can show the USCIS that he can support you when you arrive in the United States. What are the important things that you have to remember? You will have to establish that your relationship is real. How do you do that? You have to have proof that you have met personally in the last 2 years. How did we prepare for that? We made sure that we submitted copies of our photos that show that we were together. So the trips that we made, even his plane tickets, I printed them out and I photocopied them and we submitted it to the USCIS. Also, some receipts of his gifts that he gave me and letters that I sent to him in the US. Here's a sample of the portfolio. These are the tickets for when he took flights to come home to the Philippines to visit me and his family there. These are the letters that are in envelopes that we photocopied and we sent to them. These are the receipts of the gifts that we sent. And most importantly, these are the photos. So that's our photo in our engagement and our trip outside the Philippines. And this is our photo at home. I made sure that there are labels there, captions, as to the date and the description. It's important for them to see the dates. Now, is it really important to have a formal engagement? Well, no. You would have to show that you've been together physically. What would prove that? Of course, you have photos, you can have videos. That is to establish that your relationship is legitimate. So you have to take note of that. Because some people, they try to fake the relationship. How do they do that? They try to make it look as if in the photo, it's both of them together, but it's a different person that just looks like the fiance. You really can't fool the Department of Homeland Security because they make thorough checks before they approve the petition. So those are just a few things that made up our whole portfolio that he attached to the I-129F form and he sent to the USCIS, which is probably the reason why our petition was approved. Now, how long did it take for us to process the petition itself? Before I discuss that, you have to take note of this. A petition is different from a visa. The petition is one that is filed by your fiance, and that is which has to be approved before you are able to process the visa. So there is a different visa requirement for you, and there is a different petition requirement for your fiance. Based on our personal experience, it took us around 6 months only from the time that it was filed. He filed on March 2018. On September of 2018, we already received an approval notice of the petition itself from the USCIS. There can be setbacks in the application, but if you believe that you have been thorough in preparing for your application, then there's no need to worry. In our case, we received a request for evidence. That is one of those setbacks because it may cause the delay of your application. What is a request for evidence? It is a request sent by the USCIS to the petitioner asking him for further evidence to prove the relationship. It is also being sent to the petitioner if he forgets to fill up a certain portion of the application, which would require the USCIS to inquire further on the case. In our case, we submitted an answer or a response to the request for evidence, and fortunately, within 1 week, the petition was already approved. So we got an approval of the petition in September of 2018. But this time, the documents of the petition were already forwarded to the National Visa Center, which also sent us through email and through the post that the petition has been approved and that notice is only valid for 4 months. So I only had 4 months to process the medical exam and to schedule the interview at the embassy and to attend the interview itself. What did I do? Within a span of 4 months until the end of January of 2019, I made sure that I processed all the requirements. They will send to you a link that is found in the email, the checklist of the documents that you have to prepare and to bring to the interview in the embassy. You have to take note that these are original documents, and it's best that you bring the original documents and you have photocopies with you. Never forget that these civil documents are also important, that you have to bring them to the United States after your visa has been approved by the embassy and when you travel to marry your fiance in the US. What are the examples? Of course, your birth certificate. You have to prepare for that. That is one which is issued by the Philippine Statistics Authority. Other than that is your NBI clearance, or what they would call as police clearance. This has to be valid for at least 1 year before your interview. You don't want to go to the embassy with an expired NBI clearance. And you have to take note that the official copy and the personal copy have to be together because you will be giving them your official copy. And you can keep and photocopy the personal copy for your personal use. How do the letters look like? Here is the letter of the National Visa Center. It has a barcode. And it says here that I already have a case number and a receipt number. There. They also sent an email to my fiance notifying of the approval of the fiancé visa and the schedule of the interview that I have to set. And this is the appointment confirmation that was issued to me online when I scheduled the interview. And don't forget, the US Embassy in Manila also tries to send a letter to you wherein you will find a checklist of the things that you have to comply with. Since you have to schedule a medical exam before your interview with the US Embassy, you have to make sure that you comply with all of the requirements of the St. Luke's Extension Center in Ermita, Manila, so that there will not be delays in the issuance of your certificate. That will be a passage for you to be able to be approved with for you to be able to have an approved K1 fiancé visa in the embassy. At St. Luke's, you will have to go there very early. They open at 7 o'clock in the morning, but the process is first come, first serve, meaning to say there is a line there. You can go there as early as possible. So if you come later before the building opens, then it would mean that you will finish later than everybody else who came before you. One strategy is to be there as early as around 3 a.m. and it's really worth it. Make sure that you bring the proper documents that are required of you to bring to the St. Luke's Medical Center. Since you have to be there early, there is a tendency that you will forget some of the things, so you have to prepare them the night before. Don't forget that your 2x2 picture must have to comply with the photo requirements that are found online, which are required by the US Embassy and also St. Luke's. And also don't forget to bring with you the confirmation of your appointment with St. Luke's. Now, the result of your medical exam may be given to you right after the exam itself if your interview schedule is a day after your medical exam. But if it's not yet near, then it will be the St. Luke's that will send the results to the US Embassy itself. So that is the process of filing a petition for K1 or fiancé visa from the United States and the process of applying for a visa for yourself as the fiancé when the petition is already approved. In the next vlog, we will talk about how to prepare for the US Embassy interview after the medical exam. So if you are applying for a K1 visa or if you are petitioning your fiancé in the Philippines, I hope this vlog helps, and good luck to you and your fiancé. Thank you so much for watching this video, and don't forget to subscribe.